Have you ever stopped to wonder what Catherine, Princess of Wales, actually does all day? Not the version shaped by ceremony or the image suggested by titles and tradition, but the reality that unfolds hour by hour behind closed doors. Most people imagine a future queen beginning her day slowly, perhaps woken gently by staff, breakfast arriving on silver trays, a life cushioned by routine luxury. That assumption feels natural, and yet, according to those who have worked closely with her, the reality is strikingly different. Catherine's day begins early, not because protocol demands it, but because family does. Her alarm typically sounds sometime between 6:30 and 7 in the morning. This is not a symbolic start to the day. It is practical. It is necessary. While many royals throughout history began their mornings with staff managing the household, Catherine starts hers in the kitchen, surrounded by her children. She prepares her own morning drink, blending kale, spirulina, matcha, spinach, romaine, coriander, and blueberries. It is a small ritual, but it sets the tone. She is not separate from the rhythms of her household, she is inside them. And she is not doing this alone, while others handle the children. When she spoke during a visit to the London Early Years Foundation nursery, she revealed what her children actually eat in the mornings. Apples, cereal, simple food prepared by her. The morning routine quickly shifts from calm intention into real-world chaos. Prince William has described mornings filled with disagreements over music, negotiations about fairness, and children running freely through the kitchen. Charlotte dances around in dresses and ballet outfits. Louis follows, trying to keep up. These are not curated moments. They are ordinary, noisy, unpredictable mornings. This is the first clear departure from royal tradition, not ordered silence, not staff-managed precision, but real parenting happening in real time. Catherine has spoken openly about the guilt she feels when she cannot be present. She once recalled her children asking why she was not taking them to school that morning. The guilt exists because the commitment exists. Even after giving birth to Prince Louis, Catherine was photographed taking Prince George to school the very next day. Not for appearances, but because she had promised herself the kind of mother she would be. The family does have a nanny, Maria Teresa Turion Borrallo, a highly trained Norland nanny with expertise that includes security, defensive driving, and protection. Yet the role Maria plays is fundamentally different from traditional royal childcare. Catherine and William often choose to take their children to school themselves. Help exists, but it does not replace presence. It supports it. Royal biographers have noted that Catherine is hands-on in a way that must be understood in context. Compared to previous generations, this is a complete restructuring. Historically, royal children were raised largely by nannies. Parents appeared at set times. Bedtime stories were scheduled. Catherine altered that model entirely. Her engagements are often scheduled within a limited radius of home and within school hours, so she can be there in the mornings and evenings. This is not a reduction of duty. It is a redesign of how duty fits into life. After school drop-off, Catherine does something few would expect a future queen to do. She shops for groceries herself. Accompanied discreetly by security, she walks through supermarket aisles on Kensington High Street, selecting food for daily meals. The image is quietly radical, not because she lacks access to chefs, but because she chooses involvement. She cooks regularly, not as a gesture, as a habit. She has spoken about cooking with her children, letting them stir, mix, and get messy. Homemade pizza, cheesy pasta, salads prepared together. These moments are not staged, they are routine. Even during radio interviews, When asked about dinner plans, Catherine has casually mentioned what she would be cooking that evening. Curry, teriyaki salmon, roast chicken. This extends even to formal occasions. For her first Christmas at Sandringham, she gifted the Queen a jar of her grandmother's homemade chutney.
It appeared on the table the next day.
Former royal staff have explained that Catherine's comfort in the kitchen comes from her upbringing. She cooked long before becoming a princess. What matters is that she continues to do so afterward. This is not about rejecting luxury, it is about continuity of identity. Her work schedule reflects the same philosophy. Catherine's official duties are often concentrated into specific days and hours, allowing her to be present for school runs and bedtime. This is unprecedented. Previous generations of royals structured life entirely around duty. Catherine negotiated a different balance. She remains deeply involved in early childhood development, mental health advocacy, and patronages, but she controls when that work happens. When conflicts arise, she acknowledges them openly. The tension is real because the priorities are real. Exercise, too, is woven into family life rather than separated from it. She has spoken about staying active by running after her children, jumping on the trampoline with them, and pushing strollers, rather than following a rigid gym routine. The line between self-care and parenting blurs by design. By early evening, Catherine is preparing dinner. Most nights, it is the five of them together. The children are involved. Charlotte imitates her mother in the kitchen with toy utensils because she sees her doing it often enough for imitation to feel natural. Meals are familiar, adjusted for taste, tailored to who is eating. These details reveal attentiveness, not performance. Bedtime is structured but personal. When Catherine and William are home, they handle it themselves. Baths, quiet play, stories. Familiar books read repeatedly. The children are usually asleep by 7. Their parents are in bed by 10:30. Early nights because mornings come quickly again. Weekends shift location, but not principle. Whether at Adelaide Cottage or Anmer Hall, the focus remains on normalcy. Outdoor play, limited screens. Bedrooms furnished with practical choices rather than extravagance. Catherine is known to attend her children's sporting events consistently. Not occasionally, consistently. What Catherine has built is not simply a schedule, it is a framework, a way of redefining royal life without abandoning it. The revelation is not any single choice, but the pattern of them. Every morning, every school run, every meal, every weekend match. These choices require constant negotiation with tradition, constant assertion of values, constant discipline. Previous generations accepted the traditional model. Catherine redesigned it. Help exists not to replace parenting, but to support it. The result is children who expect presence, who notice absence, who grow up with routines that feel grounded rather than ceremonial. This is not a rejection of royal responsibility, it is an evolution of it, a demonstration that it is possible to serve the crown and still show up where it matters most. And that evolution does not end when the children are tucked into bed or when the school day finishes. It continues quietly in the spaces that are never photographed and rarely discussed. Catherine's evenings are not filled with endless planning meetings or late-night strategy sessions. More often, they are defined by ordinary repetition, clearing the table, packing lunches for the next day, laying out school uniforms. Small tasks that, taken alone, seem insignificant, but together create stability. And stability, especially within a life defined by public expectation, becomes a form of quiet resistance. What becomes clear when looking closely at Catherine's daily life is that her choices are not accidental. They are deliberate, consistent, and sustained over time. This is not a phase or a public relations posture. It is a pattern reinforced day after day. Former staff have noted that Catherine prefers routines not because she lacks flexibility, but because routines protect what matters. They create boundaries in a world that rarely respects them. Her relationship with Prince William reflects this same philosophy. Their partnership is structured around shared responsibility rather than symbolic roles. William has spoken openly about school runs, bedtime duties, and the importance of being present. This shared approach did not happen by default. It was negotiated intentionally, shaped by both of their childhoods. William, having grown up under intense scrutiny and emotional distance, understood deeply what absence can cost. Catherine, having experienced a comparatively grounded upbringing, brought a model of involvement that felt foreign to royal tradition, but necessary to their vision of family.
Their evenings, when they are both home,
Are often quiet. Conversation replaces ceremony. Phones are put away. The day is discussed not in terms of headlines, but in terms of homework, friendships, small victories, and frustrations. Catherine has spoken about how important it is to listen, especially when children struggle to articulate what they are feeling. This attentiveness mirrors her professional focus on early childhood development, where she emphasizes that emotional foundations are built not through grand gestures, but through consistent presence. Her advocacy work, particularly in mental health and early years development, is not separate from her life at home. It grows directly out of it. The research she supports, the campaigns she leads, and the speeches she gives are informed by lived experience. She understands, on a practical level, how small moments shape long-term outcomes. How a missed school pickup can feel enormous to a child. How predictable routines can anchor emotional security. How being seen consistently builds trust. This alignment between private life and public duty is rare, not because it is impossible, but because it is difficult to maintain under pressure. Catherine's schedule is often described as lighter than other senior royals, but that interpretation misses the point. Her work is not reduced, it is concentrated. She prioritizes depth over volume. Fewer appearances, more sustained involvement. Long-term initiatives rather than one-off engagements. This approach requires patience because its impact is not immediate or easily quantified. Behind the scenes, Catherine is known to prepare meticulously. Meetings are not rushed. She asks questions. She listens more than she speaks. Staff have described her as calm, focused, and deeply engaged. She does not rely on status to command attention. She earns it through presence. This demeanor extends into her parenting. She does not dominate conversations with her children. She invites them.
she models listening.
Rather than control. Weekends offer a different rhythm, but the same priorities. At Anmer Hall, the family spends time outdoors, away from the formalities of London. Gardening, long walks, informal meals. The children ride bikes, play sports, explore. Catherine encourages independence while maintaining structure. Screens are limited. Time is unhurried. These choices are not nostalgic gestures. They are informed by research, reflection, and conviction. Catherine's approach to motherhood is often described as modern, but it is perhaps better understood as intentional. She integrates contemporary understanding of child development with a respect for tradition, choosing which elements to carry forward and which to leave behind. The result is not rebellion, but recalibration. Royal life continues, but it no longer dictates every detail of family existence.
This recalibration
Extends to how Catherine presents herself publicly. Her style is frequently praised, but what is notable is not extravagance, but restraint. Clothing is chosen for longevity, practicality, and appropriateness. Items are reworn. Designers are balanced between established names and accessible brands. This consistency reinforces a message of continuity rather than excess. Appearance becomes an extension of values rather than a separate performance. Her mornings, too, remain grounded. Exercise happens when it fits, often integrated into family life. Running alongside her children, playing sports together, staying active through movement rather than rigid routines. Health is approached holistically, not obsessively. Balance replaces perfection. Catherine's relationship with food reflects the same sensibility. Meals are nourishing, simple, and shared. Cooking is not delegated entirely, even when help is available. The act of preparing food becomes time spent together, an opportunity for conversation and connection. These moments, repeated daily, shape family culture more powerfully than any formal event. As the children grow older, Catherine adapts rather than resists change. She has spoken about how parenting evolves, how challenges shift, how listening becomes more important than instruction. This adaptability mirrors her broader role within the monarchy. She does not attempt to replicate the past. She studies it, respects it, and then adjusts where necessary. The public often sees Catherine during carefully orchestrated appearances, but those moments represent only a fraction of her life. The greater portion unfolds quietly, away from cameras. It is in those unseen hours that her influence is most deeply felt. Not because she holds power, but because she exercises responsibility. What emerges from this portrait is not an image of perfection, but of consistency. Catherine does not attempt to be everything at once. She chooses deliberately,
accepts trade-offs,
and remains accountable to her priorities. This clarity allows her to navigate criticism without becoming reactive. She understands that not every choice will be understood, and she is comfortable with that. In redefining royal motherhood, Catherine has also redefined leadership. She demonstrates that authority can be exercised gently, that tradition can coexist with change, and that public service does not require personal absence. Her life offers a counter-narrative to the assumption that significance demands sacrifice of intimacy. And so, day after day, she continues, waking early, preparing meals, attending meetings, supporting causes, returning home, reading stories, repeating routines, not as performance, but as commitment. Over time, these choices accumulate into something durable.
This is how legacy is built quietly.
Not through spectacle, but through structure. Not through visibility alone, but through values lived consistently. Catherine's life, examined closely, reveals not a rejection of royal identity, but its careful evolution into something more human, more grounded, and ultimately, more sustainable. That sustainability becomes even more apparent when Catherine steps fully into her public role, not as a figure performing duty, but as someone shaping it from the inside. Public appearances are often the most visible part of royal life, yet they are only the surface expression of hours of preparation, internal alignment, and quiet decision-making. Catherine approaches these moments not as obligations to endure, but as opportunities to connect intention with impact. When she attends engagements, she does so with a focus that is unmistakable. Observers frequently note how she gives people her full attention, bending slightly forward, maintaining eye contact, listening without interruption. This presence is not accidental. It reflects the same attentiveness she practices at home. The skill of listening transfers seamlessly from parenting to patronage. Whether speaking with educators, healthcare workers, or families, Catherine's questions reveal genuine curiosity rather than scripted interest. Her work in early childhood development exemplifies this approach. Rather than advocating abstract ideals, she emphasizes foundational experiences: how children are spoken to, how emotions are validated, how environments shape confidence. These themes are not theoretical for her, they are lived. She has spoken about the importance of emotional safety, of children knowing they are heard. This philosophy informs both her public initiatives and her private life. The structure of her workday reflects intentional balance. Meetings are often clustered, allowing her to remain focused without constant interruption. She prefers depth to breadth,
continuity to novelty.
Advisors have noted that Catherine values long-term partnerships over one-time visibility. This patience stands in contrast to the rapid cycle of modern attention, where relevance is measured by frequency rather than substance. Behind the scenes, Catherine is known to be meticulous. Briefings are read carefully. Context matters. She asks for follow-up information, revisits topics, and returns to projects repeatedly over time. This consistency builds trust with organizations she supports. They do not feel like temporary beneficiaries of royal interest. They feel accompanied.
Her public speaking
Reflects the same restraint. Catherine does not rely on dramatic rhetoric. Her words are measured, clear, and grounded. When she speaks about mental health or childhood development, she does so with empathy rather than authority. This tone disarms defensiveness and invites participation. It is leadership through invitation rather than imposition. Even her presence at high-profile events reveals intentionality. Catherine is aware of symbolism, but she does not allow it to eclipse substance. She understands that what she wears, where she stands, and how she interacts will be interpreted widely. Rather than resisting this reality, she navigates it thoughtfully. Her choices are rarely impulsive. They are consistent with a larger narrative she is building quietly over time. That narrative is one of continuity rather than disruption. Catherine does not seek to overturn tradition, but to humanize it. She honors the institution she serves by making it more accessible, more relatable, and more aligned with contemporary values. This balance requires discipline. It means resisting extremes. It means absorbing criticism from both sides. It means staying steady when public opinion fluctuates. Criticism inevitably arrives. Some argue she does too little. Others argue she does too much. Catherine's response is not defensive. It is consistent. She continues working at the pace she believes is sustainable. She measures success internally rather than by volume of praise. This internal compass allows her to navigate public scrutiny without losing direction. Her relationship with media reflects this same boundary setting. Catherine understands the necessity of visibility, but she also protects privacy fiercely. Access is limited. Personal moments are guarded. This is not secrecy, it is stewardship. She recognizes that constant exposure erodes authenticity and stability, particularly for children. By controlling what is shared, she preserves what is real. At home, this protection manifests in clear boundaries. The children are shielded from unnecessary intrusion. Their routines remain predictable. Their environment is designed to feel safe rather than performative. Catherine understands that children absorb stress even when it is unspoken. Minimizing that stress is part of her responsibility. As the children grow, new challenges emerge. Independence increases. Social dynamics shift. Questions become more complex. Catherine adapts her parenting accordingly. She listens. She adjusts. She allows space for growth while maintaining structure. This adaptability mirrors her evolving public role. Nothing is static. Everything requires attention. The partnership between Catherine and William continues to anchor this evolution. Decisions are shared. Responsibilities are distributed. This visible unity is not manufactured. It is the product of mutual respect and aligned priorities. They are conscious of the example they set, not just as future monarchs, but as parents navigating modern expectations. Their approach to leadership is quiet but deliberate. They do not seek to dominate narratives. They focus on longevity rather than immediacy. This long view shapes how Catherine approaches every aspect of her role. She is not preparing for the next headline. She is preparing for decades of service. That perspective reframes pressure. When urgency fades, clarity increases. Catherine is able to invest in initiatives that may not show immediate results but promise lasting impact. Early childhood development, mental health awareness, and community support do not produce instant transformation. They require sustained commitment. Catherine understands this and structures her work accordingly. Her influence, therefore, is cumulative rather than explosive. It grows quietly through repetition, consistency, and trust. Organizations supported by her patronage often describe feeling genuinely understood rather than merely endorsed. This depth of engagement differentiates her from symbolic leadership. Even moments of rest are purposeful. Catherine values quiet time, reflection, and presence. These are not luxuries. They are necessities that sustain clarity. By protecting her energy, she ensures that when she does engage, she does so fully. Over time, this approach reshapes perception. Catherine becomes less defined by individual appearances and more by the coherence of her life. The boundaries between her private values and public actions blur until they are indistinguishable. This alignment becomes her defining characteristic. In a world that often rewards performance over substance, Catherine's steadiness offers an alternative model of leadership, one rooted in consistency, humility, and long-term vision. Her life illustrates that influence does not require constant visibility and that authority can be exercised without force. As she continues to navigate her role, the pattern remains unchanged. Thoughtful mornings, focused work, present evenings, measured public engagement, adaptable parenting, quiet leadership. These elements repeat not because they are easy, but because they are chosen. And in that repetition, something enduring takes shape. A model of service that integrates humanity with tradition. A vision of leadership grounded not in spectacle, but in stability.
A legacy built
Not through noise, but through care. And if you've stayed with this story until now, it means something here matters to you. So take a moment to support the work behind it. Like the video so it can reach others who value depth over spectacle. Subscribe to the channel if you want more long-form stories that slow down, look closer, and refuse to rush what deserves reflection. And if any part of this mirrored your own experience, leave a comment below. Not to perform, not to argue, but to be part of a conversation that values meaning over noise.